This is going to be a slightly impromptu film study video about one aspect of the Ravens offense that I think we had seen two plays, maybe three, through the first 2 weeks of the preseason, but Todd Monken kind of revealed more in the Saturday night game against the Bucs. It's something that we would call a sniffer, and you'll see an example over here. That's why I didn't show a still or high quality still. So a sniffer is like a player who is directly lined up behind an offensive lineman, but not a quarterback and not at typical running back depth in the shotgun. We would normally not call someone a sniffer if the quarterback is under center. That's just the terminology that we had. Sniffer indicates that you've got an extra player in the backfield, not a quarterback, not a tailback, running back, which in this case is right there. I think it's Melvin Gordon. So we're talking about Charlie Kolar. Now, at different parts of this video, you'll see Charlie Kolar, Travis Vokalek, and or Ben Mason operate as the sniffer. So we'll talk about the sequence of plays that we have. This is the first play of the game. 11 personnel, tight end into the boundary, like we've talked about in some previous videos. Kolar lined up as the sniffer. He could ISO block, and you'll see two examples of that later on in the video. He could release across the formation to lead, so ISO block up to the front side inside linebacker. He could lead across the formation out into the flats on a pass play. In this case, he kind of goes downhill, kind of make it look like possibly a run block, and just slips out into the flats. You do get a little bit of a mesh between the quarterback and the running back that kind of gives this player here the idea that it could be a run play. Now, simultaneous to that, I'm going to constantly talk about this in 2023. He's attacking away from the nickel defender, he being Monken. So the nickel defender is to the defense's left, the offense's right. Where is Kolar releasing? Away from the nickel defender. Now, this is not exactly the same thing as the running back releasing into the boundary, which I've talked about a couple of times so far, because the ball's in the middle of the field. But conceptually, you still have the same thing. Nickel defender here. Kolar is going to end up with his feet here behind the offensive line, and he releases away from the nickel defender. I think that Todd Monken is a guy who wants to force people to defend the area away from the nickel constantly, and he's got multiple concepts to do so. In the case of the sniffer set, this is his concept to do so. I think he appears to me to be a guy who I would hate to coach against because he would probably shred me. He looks like a guy who can attack to either side of the formation out of every single formation. So 21 personnel now. You got Vokalek at tight end, Mason at fullback. This is the fourth possession, and it's ISO lead. Now this is it's pro slot to start, meaning pro is the side where the tight end and the Z is, and the slot is the fullback and the X receiver. Ends up being sniffer weak, so we would just call pro sniffer B because both guys is on the B side. A quick way for the for our kids on defense, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, up to 18, to be able to communicate to each other. Not much here, but this is a downhill run play that complements the first play you saw where Kolar comes downhill. There's a mesh between the quarterback and the running back, making it look similar conceptually to this play. And I'm stopping here intentionally because you have the mesh with the quarterback, which I think is Anthony Brown now. Mason doing the same thing Kolar did, running at the boundary side inside linebacker. Conceptually, we've got the same exact look. This is just option football. That's all it is. Make it look the same. You have a dive play. You have a way to attack out into the flats. You'll have a vertical concept to attack. Let's get to one more. I think this is the fifth possession. Again, where is Kolar? To the boundary. And he's brought back in to be a sniffer in front of the running back. It's 11 personnel again. He's trying to get through the B gap. I think this is basically the same play as we had on the first one. The Bucs cover it up a little better. Anthony Brown scrambles, and I'm pretty sure this is fifth possession because the fourth possession is when Brown scrambled and fumbled the football. This one he seems to kind of learned his lesson. But in any case, I think Kolar's trying to get through B gaps, so in between Cleveland and the right tackle, and then get out into the flats. But what happens is the Ravens make some kind of call, and they basically just slide pro this down, and they let the back take the edge rusher. So what happens is the B gap moves, and Kolar, and I'm going to give you the end zone angle too, by the way. Kolar ends up with his hands on the back of the tackle where he should be running between the right tackle's left hip and Ben Cleveland's right hip, if that makes sense. And it'll make more sense from the end zone angle. But unbelievable escapability by Anthony Brown. if you guys listen to my reaction video, you know that I heard Rondé Barber talking about Anthony Brown, and it's pretty cool. He was talking about him like he was, incredibly escapable or athletic like Lamar and some other quarterbacks in the NFL. And he's certainly athletic, but I don't think he's on that level. But I think that Kolar is trying to get through this gap here to release out, and 57 is responsible for him. Kolar just gets clogged up by the protection scheme, and the back just upends this nickel defender. But you can see Kolar's delayed getting out of here, and this guy's off the edge. So it's really just sticks blitz 0 is all it is. I'm going to go back to the All-22 and show you what I mean. For those of you that may be new to the channel or new to talking about it, I mean, it's just sticks blitz 0, where you have 7 up on the line of scrimmage, and they're bringing pressure, and they're forcing guys to step to players who are not rushing. And in this case, 57 is not rushing. He's covering Kolar on this theoretical route out into the flats. Nonetheless, the Ravens are stepping to him. It's just trickle-down effect. So 57 is not blitzing. Again, and also this inside linebacker is dropping out. So you have 2 guys on the inside not blitzing, and it creates 2 players off the edge, the nickel defender and 88. 88 ends up being unblocked because we've slid away from him. The Ravens had trouble with this for all of 2021, particularly down there in Miami on that Thursday night game. So what I'm talking about is, dropping out to cover the tight end, dropping out to the offense's left, our right on the screen right now because you got 2 receivers over there. It's a trickle-down effect because we're stepping down, and 88 is free, 26 is free. Owen Wright, who's a pretty damn good football player, just upends the dude, but they end up with a free rusher. So I digressed a little bit there just to talk about the pass pro and the call that the Ravens made versus the stunt that the Bucs had. Still the 5th possession, and this is really where it gets fun if you ask me. Looks like Kolar into the flats in some ways. He comes in, he's on the same side as the running back, right? No, it's a bubble. You also had the lead play that Mason ran on the second one that I showed you. Now it's a bubble away from the sniffer side, away from the side where you have the running back and the tight end. I don't know how effective this is going to be in the regular season. I don't know how often we're going to use it, but it looks to me like a play series or sequence of plays, I guess is a better description, where we can attack either side of the field quickly. I'm sure we got some stuff that goes up top. It's a little bubble down here to, I think, Prochet for like a 5 or 6 yard gain, something like that. It's kind of scary from a defensive coordinator standpoint when you prepare for someone and they show you multiple formations and multiple different concepts from each formation. Now, conceptually, this is quite easy for anyone to access. You do have a quick little play fake to the running back, just trying to hold these second-level defenders and then get the ball out into the flats on the little bubble, 2-man bubble. Prochet working to the outside. Easy stuff. When we talk about layups for Lamar, easy completions, how do you get his completion percentage to go from 65 or 66 to 68 or 69 or even 70 or 75 in some games? Like this. When you package plays together from the same look, why are they rolling down the safety here? I don't know. Maybe because they're worried about Kolar slipping out into the flats, and they don't want, in this case, the inside linebacker to have to cover him. That would be to me, that would be one of the potential answers, but I could be wrong. You also have the ability, and it looks like that safety's possibly playing it, to run RPO game. I'm quite sure that the Ravens have this here too as well. Kolar leading, like I talked about on the first play, running back cross and face, slant backside, read some of these players in here. So it looks to me like Monken is a guy, and I think we knew this already, that's going to have multiple play concepts from each formation. Why am I bringing that up? I've said this in many other videos. You got to have width to attack both sides of a formation. You got to have a multitude of plays, and those two things together give you the directional versatility. The direction. This isn't really the sniffer. Kolar looks like he's going to. It ends up being F counter. Now I want to talk about numbers here. I think you get a gap exchange on F counter, but let's do numbers first. The ball is on the left hash. Where's the tight end? Into the boundary. So for the Bucs, you've got D end, D tackle. That's 2. Linebacker 3. Safety 4, DB 5. For the Ravens, you've got left guard, left tackle, that's 2. Kolar 3. Wide receiver 4. Running back 5. Each of these 2 guys counts for a half because they're on the midline. I mean the quarterback and the center. So right now for the Ravens, we got 6. They got 5. So we're a man up to the boundary. They're a man up to the field because they got 6. But what happens is on the snap, it's F counter. Saleh pulls, so he crosses the midline. And simultaneously, Kolar pulls and then wraps because the Bucks gap exchange it. Oh, by the way, the running back gets the ball, and he crosses the midline too. So you have 3 players lined up to the boundary, left guard, tight end, halfback, who all cross the midline. You need some of these guys to cross the midline as well. Otherwise, there's just not going to be enough numbers there to stop it, and there's not. I think it's a 6 or 7 yard gain. It's a nice read by Kolar. I think normally on F counter, he would lead up inside of a kick-out block by Saleh. In this case, this DN steps down and goes inside of Saleh's block, and this linebacker scrapes tight off of his backside. It's called a gap exchange. The DN and inside linebacker gap exchange it. Sometimes it happens naturally when you get, a really smart, savvy, and experienced inside linebacker. Speaking of awareness, Kolar sees that, bounces outside, goes and gets, I think, 51. I believe it's 51. The frontside inside linebacker who's still good enough to get involved with the play. A lot going on there, and I said a lot about it, but Monken is going to attack you horizontally to both sides. And I think I've never been in a meeting of his, and never will be probably, but to me, I'd be willing to bet one of the things he writes up on the board, on a whiteboard, to start the meeting is, we're going to attack to the boundary. We're going to force them to roll down to the boundary at some point or widen up the boundary side inside linebacker. So what I mean is they're going to put this player in conflict, the boundary side inside linebacker. I think this is the nickel defender. This is one of the 2 high safeties. The other 2 high safety has rolled down. Why? Because I think he's trying to defend Kolar slipping out into the flats. What's it going to do? Potentially create one-on-ones for these guys. We don't see evidence of it here necessarily, but I'm projecting to you the RPO to the side where the sniffer is, and also going up top after we've created a one-on-one. I think that's what some of the stuff is designed to do. All right, really cool play. Same as the Ben Mason play. It's 12 personnel this time as opposed to 21. And you get first, Falele and Saleh get some real nice vertical push on this, so you got to give them credit on that. They're going to be here and here, comboing on this D tackle, and they're basically going to push this D tackle into the linebacker's lap, number 1. Number 2, Vokalek's coming through here, and this linebacker is trying to play it back to his tandem, his partner. He's trying to play it back to him. So he's going to take on Vokalek's outside shoulder. Vokalek's cool with that because he's trying to get to his inside shoulder, which he does. And you can see that Falele and Saleh have pushed that D tackle back into the lap of the inside linebacker, who's kind of slow playing it a little bit. Saleh ends up working up to him, 13-yard gain. You got 4 or 5 concepts here. I think feel free to go watch a second time. It helps me out with views. I think you got 4 or 5 concepts attacking to either side of the field. You had Kolar slipping out into the flats. This is the same as the Mason play I showed you, the second one. Basically, ISO lead is all it is. I truly believe there's an RPO in here. You got F counter to the field. Do I think that Monken is a guy who looks at, how they're lined up in terms of numbers like I counted for you? Well, no, but I think he's looking for where the 3 technique is. I think he's looking for where the nickel defender is. In this case, it's 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. So the Bucks have responded with their base defense. I offer to you that Monken is going to use 12 personnel to manipulate people. If they are in their nickel defense, he may run stuff like this. If they're in their base defense, he may spread Kolar or Likely or Andrews out more. As a comparison, the smartest and most prepared offense coordinator that I know right now is a guy coaching in high school, and what he does is he expects his kids to know every single play, the hand signal for every single play call in the playbook. And what happens is they line up, or hurry up, no huddle, hurry up. The whistle, and a lot of people do this. This is just the best guy that I've seen, that I know do it, because I've stood next to him when he does it. And they line up, the defense lines up, nickel personnel, base personnel, 1 high look, 2 high safety look, whatever. And then his kids give a hard count or they give a fake count. and they look over, and his offensive court or one of his offensive staff on the headset with him gives the hand signal for whatever word call he's provided from up in the coach's box. And the kids look at the hand signal to get the hand signal, and they have to memorize it. They don't play unless they know every single hand signal. College teams do this, okay? So it's not uncommon. I'm sure everybody's seen it. In my opinion, what makes that so difficult to stop? Because the coordinator has the chalk last. The coordinator can see how you're lining up and attack you according to how you line up in wherever you're weakest. And you can only do that if you've got built-in plays that attack outside here, outside there, inside here. You saw the F counter play. It'd be like this with a wrap, and then also at some point attack up top. The Ravens have the personnel. The Ravens have the coach to do all of these things. It's going to be super exciting to watch in week 1. I'm going to try to bring you guys as much data and information that's specific like this, one piece at a time. I can't bring you the whole cake because we ain't seen the whole cake yet, but I thought I'd bring you this slice. It's got a weird name, Sniffer. You're more than welcome to speculate on what it means. It should be quite obvious. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comment section. And again, please consider sharing some of the video links on social media if you think other Ravens fans or NFL fans in general would appreciate this content. Appreciate you guys' time.